What's up, party people of the planet Earth? This is Molly Rulin coming at you from the Podcast Club. Another exciting episode ahead. We have a really great guest today, Carrie Caulfield Arick from Just Busters, the robust and, busting at the seams group of women editors in the podcast industry. So over 1,000 women in the group. So we're super excited today to have her as a guest so we can talk about podcast editing, what's going on in the industry, whatever else we might, Clubhouse, Anchor, we're going to cover it all today. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Carrie.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you so much, Molly, for reaching out to me and inviting me. And thanks, Marcus and Adam, for, this experience we're about to have together.
It's going to be an experience, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know. It helps if you have alcohol. Well, thank you for coming on. I've been super excited. I mean, I have a ton of respect for what you're doing, and I'm a member of that group, and I freaking love that group. Like, I love everyone in that group. I love the spirit of collaboration in there, how helpful people are. Like, I just can't say enough good things about that group. And every once in a while we're like, oh, those guys in those other groups. But like 99% of the time, it's really just like positive exchanges of information and knowledge and experience. And like, man, what a beautiful, beautiful thing you have going on there. So thank you for taking time to, come on the show and talk to us a little bit about Just Busters and how did that get started? I know you're a co-founder, but can you tell us like the origin story, right, of Just Busters?
So we were at Podcast Movement in Philadelphia, which was 2018 at the Podcast Editors Club meetup. And Jennifer Longworth, Emily Prokop, Alicia Barrett, who was another woman there. We were looking around the room and we realized we were the only women, right? And there were a ton of men, and Jennifer had an experience where I guess there was some mansplaining, and we were talking about how women often qualify their expertise by using the word just. When we're editing, we typically take that out. We've been talking about that. And Jennifer pulled out her phone and said, I'm just going to make a place for us where we can have these conversations. And will you be a moderator? And she did it. Bless her pea-picking heart. She did it. Right there. She was like, give me your phone. I'll make you, And that's basically how it was born. I mean, just in a moment of Jennifer being sheerly frustrated. And when she gets something, when she gets a wild hair, I mean, there's no stopping her. And we didn't do much with it for the first few months. And then finally, I was like, all right, let's start pulling people in and let's start having these conversations. So, and it just kind of took off from there.
I had no idea that it like that. I love the name even more now. I never really understood. I never gave it much thought, but like, it's so accurate, right? Language really matters because we do, like, as women, we like disqualify ourselves in our language before we get started. Like, I know this is a stupid question, or I'm sorry to bother you, or I'm just checking in, or I'm sorry for the late response, right? So I've been undoing a lot of that really subconscious stuff too, and saying things like, thanks for your patience, instead of like, I'm sorry for the delay. Things like that, just like those subtle tweaks. But I really love, I love the name even more. How did you, 1,000 women is a lot of women. 1,000 people in a group is a lot of people. But people are always kind of shocked and amazed when, like we were on Marx's like microphone workshop the other day, and some guy was like, I've only ever known one other woman in the music industry. And I was like, well, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but I was like, well, I'm in a group with 1,000 women in, sound engineering, right?
Yeah.
Which which they are, which we are, right? In like one way or another, whether it's editing, producing, like whatever, we can't discredit that label. And I'm pretty confident that most people do not realize that there's that many women in the podcast industry as a whole. As far as like,
I keep finding more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I keep running into more, especially in the technical part. And I think, I've got to give props to Steve Stewart and Mark Deal, who have been big advocates. They run the Podcast Editors Club, and they have been super helpful for us. They have recommended women come and join our group when they need help with podcast editing. So, definite props there. There was a lot of word of mouth referral. I mean, people got so much from the group, I think, that they would, tell their friends and tell their editor friends. She Podcast was a great, resource to grow it. Elsie and Jess are huge supporters. And then just, Instagram. We started doing events and hangouts, office hours, to kind of get women to be comfortable talking about audio, right? Because women use an entirely different language from men when they talk about audio. Compression can be a thingy, right? So we recognized that and we worked with it. And our goal was really to educate women in these terms, essentially, and give them the confidence to go out into the wider world and talk about their skills and their expertise. And I think that really resonated with a lot of women because it was okay to talk about audio in their language. But then when they went into co-ed spaces, they could, then use that technical terminology and a lot less, mansplaining, I guess. Not that we don't love men, because we do. But yeah, that's basically how we grew the group. It just kind of snowballed.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, like men can't help themselves. They mansplain stuff to each other. So like I try not to take it personally.
Yeah, and they love the technical part.
Yep.
Right? They really get into that technical part, and that's not so important to women. We just are more about getting it done and making it work, I think. So we don't, that part. And, that's great that men love the technical.
Well, with men, we're so insecure that we have to demonstrate every chance we get what we know,
But listen, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I don't think, because that's how we learn things even better. Right? I mean, I have that kind of urge. Like, I'm not just going to give you the answer. I'm going to give you like the essay.
Right.
So how'd you find yourself into the world of audio recording and engineering to start with?
Oh, being a perfectionist.
It lends itself towards that, yeah.
Yeah, I started as a podcaster in 2014. I had a show on scrapbooking and memory keeping. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I was so like OCD about learning how to do all this stuff. And then I kept running into like sound problems. It's like, how do I fix this? How do I fix this? How do I fix this? And it just, like, it wasn't enough for me to learn how or like what to do. I had to learn why. So why is this happening? Why am I pushing this button? Why are you recommending like this is how I EQ something? And then that just kind of grew into this obsessive listening. And now I do, now one of the things I love to do is audio repair. I mean, once I found Isotope RX, I was off
Mark's
to the races.
favorite.
I know. I was like, Mark's about to freak out, right?
We could do a whole episode on RX.
Molly, we'll dip out. We'll let them just go off on their own tangent. See, guys.
I mean, yeah, we could just talk about RX. Like,
Yeah, I've never used any of those programs. I'm not an editor. I'm more of a producer. So I've cut a lot of video, more like managing the shot, setting up the cameras, doing a lot of live streams. making sure that the engineer sound is communicating with the live feed and being more of the technical connections and like cinematography of it all, if you will, and kind of lining up the shot, right? And business development, that's really my strong suit personally. I'm not a fine details. I'm more of a broad strokes kind of a gal, you know what I mean? So the editing and all that, like I'm not cut from that cloth, so I definitely respect people who are.
So I feel like a broad strokes person too. And actually, with my company, Yeah Podcasting, I have a team that definitely does the first pass, right? So they take care of the groundwork. And then I go in and do the refinement and the nuances. But I am fascinated also, just because I'm a nerd, I'm also fascinated with like language and communication and like the subtleties in that. And so I think editing really suits that. Like, I know that there are certain like sounds that when we take a breath and then we say a word, like there's certain sounds where there's a beat.
Yes.
Right? It's not just a breath and then you say the word immediately. There's a beat. So like those beats and that rhythm thing, I really love. And I'm not musical at all. Like, I love music. I grew up around musicians. My father arranged or corrected arrangements of like, this is super nerdy too. The carousel band organs?
Yeah.
That play the music when you ride a carousel.
Yeah.
My dad like helped reproduce and correct the arrangements of those rolls that used to play the music. So we've always been listening to something.
Wow.
It's kind of like I was immersed in sound my whole life. And this, so the editing, the audio stuff, I have so much fun with that.
Yeah, that's you mentioned, I've got a music industry background, and I was a music major in college before I dropped out and started touring with bands. But I remember when we met, you were speaking about why not to remove breaths, I think, at Podcast Movement 2019. You spoke right before me. And
I have very strong feelings about that.
Yeah. And I before your presentation, I was that perfectionist, because I'm a perfectionist too. I would edit out the breaths, and there's a lot of musicians and like, especially certain genres of pop music and stuff, where for a long time, they would edit out the breaths, and they stopped doing that because it sounded inhuman. But the rhythm aspect of it is huge, and that's something I've never really, I guess, thought out loud or said to myself, the actual rhythm of it. But there is a rhythm of speaking, and I definitely do that in my editing too. I was just editing something today, and the person took a little bit too long of a pause. And so what I'll do is I'll move it so that it's the same break in between words, so that it has that constant rhythm, so it flows, as opposed to having this awkward pause after, like they were just trying to think of what to say next or whatever. So the rhythm aspect of editing is huge for sure. And it's not just about cleaning out mistakes. It's about the flow, because I'm also fascinated by the communication, word choice. I'm becoming a student of that, as I have to edit out people who say things repeatedly that's not relevant to the conversation, or it's not necessary, and it's like, okay, I'll chop that out because they already said that, in a different way, that sort of thing. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then speech is like a fingerprint, right? So we have our idiosyncrasies, and actually with clients, I use that to leverage. Right there, I make them identifiable to their audience. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure we could talk about this forever.
Yeah. What's stopping us?
I mean, I think it's super cool. It's like the things that people don't really realize is that there's like a real love for the art that has to go into this. You have to be fascinated by sound on some level. Like, you have to fully understand how important it is. So, Marcus, did you grow up in a musical? Like, did you have a musical childhood?
Yes. So just like with Carrie and her dad, my dad was a piano teacher and still is a piano teacher and choir conductor and, music teacher, music history teacher. And he was always practicing piano. So I'd like be playing with my Legos in the bedroom and I could hear him playing piano. So I'm constantly I know all of these classical pieces of music, but I don't know what they are. I don't because I don't know what the name of them is, but okay, that's that piece, because he was always practicing. So it's interesting how that's something that Carrie and I share, that we growing up with noise coming into our brains constantly, had an impact.
What about you, Adam? I mean, I know you grew up in this music store, so there's a given, but did your early childhood days, was there a lot of music? Did you spend a lot of time there at the store, or?
No one in my family plays an instrument.
Crazy.
And I've probably tried the most and I've failed every time. And I guess my parents listened to music. Like my dad, I found, a whole collection of my dad's records and they're awesome. But it's not like I was surrounded by music all the time except for coming into the store. But when I did, it was just to see Pop or to see Dad. It wasn't about music at all. And then as I got later in life, I was like, it's kind of cool to be the guy that can get you that guitar if you need it. And so I found my love for music way later in life. But now everything, I have the most fun. Everything is the most exciting. I get so excited about a microphone or a set of head, whatever it is. I geek out. So I was math, and I was a math kid in school, and I liked the numbers of it. But once I realized that you could twist a knob and it made a difference in how something sounded, that was I call it one of my musical epiphanies. That was the moment I was like, oh man, math is way cooler when you can hear it when you twist a knob, way cooler. And so that was it for me. And I've been in it the last 10 years and would never do anything else.
You made me like math better just right now.
I know.
It's one of my favorite things to talk about. I love talking to STEAM education and
Cool.
showing them synthesizers and how it's the same as math things that you learn in school. And this is math and it is also music and it's the coolest.
Music theory is math. Yeah.
It's the best. It's the coolest stuff.
Which is weird because I am not and sometimes I have to do math, but I usually, my co-host on the podcast, editor mastermind, Brian Ensminger, has a spreadsheet for everything.
Yeah,
so usually I just give him the numbers and have him put it into the spreadsheet. But I think it's funny because I hate math. I am not math-minded at all, yet I have to do it all the time in audio.
It's still a mindset to it, It's I can't do any of the stuff that you guys do. I can't edit. I would be the slowest, worst editor of all time. But I know the math behind it. I understand what you're about to do to it and that, let you guys go ahead and do it. But I know systematically why this microphone works or why these headphones do what they do. The math behind it makes it so much more interesting. And I'm able to talk to people about a microphone, or I can go, geek out with the geekiest of them just because I understand the guts of it. And that's what's cool about math, is that there's an answer. There's an art to it also. But there's a reason why. There is an answer to why you must EQ these frequencies or not these frequencies. You can't just say, I'm going to EQ whatever. No, there's a reason why you do these things. The human ear hears these certain things, or the human voice exists within this range. And so there's definitely a math behind why we do what we do. But that's also the cool thing about podcasting, is that, the podcaster has to immerse themselves in that world even just a little bit, just to even get the process started. So many podcasters do all of it, right? They produce, they edit, they mix, they engineer, at least in the beginning, just to get started, and then they realize that there's a lot more to it. But I think that's one of the that you don't see that all that often, and musicians are not required to learn how to record at very much at this level, but podcasters certainly are.
True.
To some degree. You gotta be able, if you're gonna start your own podcast, you're most often you're probably going to find yourself at least trying it yourself the first time to realize that you need someone else to do it. So I think it's really that's what excites me about talking to podcasters in just any time, is that they're always more interested in the how and the why, because they have to do it themselves to start.
Yeah, and the interesting thing too is that a lot of the engineers that I worked with, especially touring, they are the more technical kind of not creative mind. And I somehow landed with I'm not like skewed one way or the other completely. I'm kind of in the middle. And so I have that music background that I've pulled into the technical side of it. And so just like with Carrie, it sounds like you do the same thing, like knowing the rhythms and stuff like that. It's not just about pushing buttons and knowing what to press. Like, yes, you have to know what to do, but you have to take your creative sensibility and your ear and your, just artistic taste, honestly, and apply that. And if you don't have taste, if you don't have an ear, if you don't know what a conversation should sound like, if you're just pushing buttons, it might sound good technically, but it's not necessarily going to be natural sounding or enjoyable or whatever. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the secret sauce to like podcasts produced at like NPR's level.
Yeah.
Is they know that, they get that, they teach that to their, because I don't know if you know, but I'm a podcast fellow at Stony Brook University.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's what we're learning is the NPR tricks that I plan on dispersing to everybody else now.
Nice.
It's my love of indie podcasters for sure. But yeah, there's definitely an art form for it, but I'm waiting for Adam's math workshop now, like podcaster math. So just let me know when you've got that ready for me.
Write that down.
This is my superpower too. Like I am great at telling you what I need you to do.
Hey, Molly, did you grow up with music in your house?
I did very much so. I grew up playing musical instruments and reading music, and very, very Irish family. So I grew up Irish dancing, which now they call river dancing, much to my disappointment. And there was no river.
It's not clogging, right?
No.
It's different.
God damn it.
Wait, Molly, what instruments do you play?
Oh boy.
Wait, you need to do a demonstration right now.
Oh, no. I smoked tons of weed to forget all of it in my 20s. I was like, how much acid will it take to erase these memories? No, I grew up in a like very, very Irish household. So like we marched in the St. Patrick's Day parade. My father was Gale of the Year. Like I grew up with the chieftains in my living room like every other weekend,
Wow.
You
played a bagpipe.
Yeah, and like going to Kaylee's and Feshes, and like I danced for Ronald Reagan like 3 times, like as a child, not as an adult. I don't want to mislead anybody down that path. There's no tell-all coming. But we were heavy in the Irish scene, and so my parents had us, learning musical instruments. So I played 2 different instruments, very Irish. One was the tin whistle, which any self-respecting Irish kid can play the tin whistle. And then the other one was the concertina, which is a pentagon-shaped bellowing instrument with 26 keys on each side, like a gypsy. Like it was like a gypsy instrument,
Gypsy accordion.
Yeah, a mini accordion.
Right?
Yeah, I've never seen another one since the last fesh I was at. You know what I mean? Like they're not wildly popular, if you can believe that. And then I dabbled a little bit on the bodhrán, which is the Irish drum, which is like a stretched skin, and you like it's very unique. It's very like a war drum sounding, like Braveheart's gonna show up and the Irish guy's gonna save the day. It's like a circular instrument with a cross in the back of it, and so you hold the back, and then you can push against the back of the skin to adjust the tightness. It's almost like a drum head without a drum body. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so you can put your fingers on it, and then you hit it with this knocker thing that's like rounded on each side, and you hit it back and forth. It's almost like tap dancing with a wooden mallet on a drum head.
Could that be the ambient music for this episode?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Molly's going to produce a soundtrack after this episode.
Seriously.
John cut in some images of that stuff.
Of Molly playing these instruments.
Yeah, and my mom used to put my hair in ringlets, and like my mom didn't cut my hair until I was 5 years old, and I was like the biggest tomboy ever. And then my mom would put it in pigtails, and then put banana curls in it, like rag curls, where she'd wrap it up with rags at night, and then take it out, and then I'd have to go like dance in a dress with these curls in my head, and it was like I hated it more than anything in life. So pretty much just the second I was old enough to be like, have any autonomy over my life, I was like, no, I don't want to dance for drunk old Irishmen at weird places. Just saying.
No, I get that.
Yeah. I mean,
Doesn't sound fun at all.
no disrespect to drunk old Irishmen. My family is full of them, but I'm just saying, like, wasn't my jam. But yeah, very, very musical household. And then I, moved into owning a multimedia company and being in the music business for, 20 years. So, but it's interesting that we all have this like music background, right? Like it's really, I think it says a lot about like the love for just audio, as lame as that might sound. But like, I mean, it really boils down to it, right? Like, I can't always describe it, like I'll give feedback about a file and I'll be like, I don't know, it sounds a little thin. And you're like, what is that? What the hell does that even mean? Like, I don't necessarily know what it is, but I know if it's hit the mark or not. You know what I mean? And I feel like I'm good at guiding things in that direction. But yeah, man, I mean, it boils down to just, you can, the right audio will make me cry. Like, I don't know about you guys, but if I go to the symphony,
Yeah.
I went to
Absolutely.
the Kennedy Center one time. I had to like leave. People were like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I don't even know what's wrong, man. I'm just can't stop crying. Man. Shit's so
Yeah,
beautiful."
for me, it's like choral music, like big, massive choirs with it's like, wow. Human voice, again,
That's what's
Yeah.
cool about music, though, is it like intrinsically, like you know, people know it sounds good. Like it's there's art to it, but it's almost like objective. Like it either sounds good or it doesn't. There's a wide variety of genres of things that sound good, but you can be like, that's a good sounding recording or not.
Right.
And humans know that. Like what sounds right, and that's kind of like a baseline across just all humans. It's just like that's why music is kind of like the universal language, because like good music sounds good, which is pretty cool.
Well, and not to like quote Madonna or anything, but like music does bring the people together. So just saying.
Yeah.
It does. And said it's a good podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Absolutely. And Carrie mentioned something that relates to what Molly just mentioned about how the learning how to express things and communicate with the sound terms and that sort of thing. That's something that was a challenge in my job too when I was touring with bands, and it was something I had to help my artists on stage learn so that they could communicate with me, because they didn't know, it sounds purple, or whatever. I just like I had one artist we were doing a taping for TV that was going to be broadcast, and he was visibly uncomfortable on camera, and they reblocked the cameras, and I went backstage to, or I went up on stage to say, dude, what can I do? What do you need from me? And he's like, I don't know. I just don't know. It just doesn't sound right. I'm like, well, I can't. I've tried everything. I keep twisting knobs. It's just like, at that point, it's just, futile effort. So communication, knowing how to, not just the terminology, but also to be able to express it, because sound is there is an objectivity of good, bad, but when it comes to the nuances of getting a sound right, or especially, with editing and stuff like that, there are certain, and it's not just trade jargon either. It's, because each audio industry, because there's podcasting that we're all part of, there's music, there's broadcast radio, and then there's TV and film, and TV and film even have some minor variations to it. We all have different terms, and the live world for music compared to the studio world, they've got different terms. A stinger on TV is a different thing than on stage. That's sort of, a stinger on radio is a different thing than on stage. On stage,
And
it's a plug.
Completely different on Tinder, let me tell you. Another podcast.
I wouldn't know about that. Yeah.
I don't know. What's your show rated?
And that's what I'm trying to do too with everybody. That I haven't started a group to do it, but just whenever I can, I help educate people and inform people like, okay, oh, so you mean this. And I'm not like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mansplaining like, no, that you're saying it wrong. You know, I used to do that when I was younger, but now that I'm old and gray, you know,
Yeah,
a little nicer about
well,
it.
and that is I even thought, well, maybe I just need to do like a workshop on like how to describe audio problems
Yeah.
or recognize, even
Yeah.
for just like our female editors who are doing it professionally, because even then it's like, okay, yeah, it's echo, but it's not echo,
Right.
right? It's
Right.
reverb,
Yes.
right? And then there are different kinds of reverb.
Yes.
And then, it's noise, but it's like hiss. It's not like they're
Buzz.
different.
Yep.
There's
Buzz
hiss,
versus hiss.
it's all different
Yes.
things.
Yeah, and that determines on how you're going to fix it and
Yes.
what kind of quality. If you don't know what the noise is and what to term it, how are you going to then fix it in your DAW
Right.
or with any of the tools that you have or EQ?
I think you now, if I'm going to do the podcasting math class, you got to do how to describe sounds and not sound waves, because all day I'm trying to decipher the thingy situation. It's always a thingy or a sound, and it has a noise to it. Well, I don't know what the problem you're having is, person, because that could be a lot of things. It could be an infinite number of sounds.
Well, and then
I'm trying to solve for.
I actually had a friend who was saying, I've got this noise, and I'm like, okay, is it more like this, or is it more like this? You know?
Is it warm? Is it dark? Is it bright? Is it thin? They all mean the same thing, but it just depends on how you want to go about it.
Yeah.
And that's all day. So I think that like if you could make that happen, you would do the entire audio industry a major service.
Well, here's what we need to do, Carrie. I'm starting to do these podcast audio lab workshops, and I'm wanting to partner with fellow engineers and editors. So we need to do one together, and I like, you'll lead it, and I'll be just facilitating it with, you know, the technical part, and that's what we need to do.
I just basically need to show up and bring the education.
Exactly.
And you just do the rest.
And I'll take care of the rest.
I am down for that.
That's awesome.
I am down for that.
That is it all day. No, because most people don't have to get so technical with it. Most people, I tell a lot of people like recording audio is easy. Recording good audio is difficult. Like that's the harder part. It's easy to get audio to come into an interface or into a mixer and have it pass out the other end and do something. But having that sound good is the hard part. And having the skills to do it, or having the right equipment that makes it a little bit easier, like Molly's microphone, or having like the right kind of setup that kind of like adjusts some of the settings for you. Like there's some cool stuff out there that can make the technology behind it not complete rocket science. Like we've come a long way since, broadcast studios, and now there's roadcasters and stuff like that just make this kind of thing super easy. So it's a different animal than it used to be, but there's still not a common thread and understanding. There's no like one class to take. There's not one. That's why people go to you guys for this sort of information, is because it's. And if you read the wrong blog or the wrong forum, holy crap!
Right.
You are getting all the wrong information.
Yeah.
Then completely the wrong way, and you will make all the wrong decisions for forever and always because you saw that one person say it's the only way.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is chaos.
But then you could come to somebody like me and pay me to fix it.
Yes.
Right. And to steer you back on the right direction.
I say it all.
Right.
Let's cook through the cooking. You got to let the people that know what the hell they're doing do the things that they know how to do.
Right.
But get so far.
And I don't, but I do want to like correct a lot of the misinformation out there, because there's nothing that drives me more crazy than seeing the Facebook ad come up about how to start a podcast or how to and then they're talking into the Blue Yeti, but the Yeti is turned the wrong way.
Thank you. We talk about that every single week.
Yes.
The Yeti
Every
must
week.
make an appearance, and it must get just completely obliterated every time because it's always backwards or upside down or pointing the wrong way.
But I want you to see the logo, the blue logo on the front.
People, please do not.
I know. I saw a post on social, and somebody was like, I've done all these episodes, and I finally upgraded for my $30 microphone, and then it was like a Yeti, and I was like, no.
Especially nowadays, man. It's like
There's so many choices.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you type in podcast microphone, you'd have to scroll like 17 pages to even find a Yeti. Like they don't they're like trying to distance themselves from us. Like, where's Yeti? You know what I mean? Where are they?
Well,
They're the
I think
streamer's
that
choice.
the influencers in podcasting certainly have moved away from it because it's too many editors have yelled at them.
right.
That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah, really.
I'm happy to hear that.
I have a T-shirt on T Public that says anything but a Yeti, and
Nice.
what microphone should I buy? So you
Yeah.
can just wear it when you show up for that call, or go to an
Get that
event.
t-shirt. I need one of those.
I need one of those too. I'm like in this minimalist phase, but I will make room in my suitcase for that shirt. Seriously. And then on the back, could it say like, and don't use Anchor.
And don't use Anchor.
Just saying.
Yeah. I probably need that shirt I can probably add that actually to the
There you
back of the
go.
shirt.
So Carrie, you built your group through social media, and we were talking about a little bit of that earlier, and just like I'm kind of curious, just like how you grew it. I mean, 1,000 people in 2 years is huge, and it ain't easy just to like pop a group up and just have it do that kind of thing. So like, what did you do to build that community, and what do you see? So like, how are you using social media now?
So I think really I couldn't have done it without Jennifer and Emily and Brittany Felix also, who's now an administrator and helps us run the group as well. Their support and taking care of kind of the moderation and all those things. So we keep it tightly moderated, right? One of the things that we do if you want to join the group is we ask you some questions, right? What are you struggling with? What DAW do you use? And then we lay out the group rules. And that has really helped us focus the content that we add to the group and how we serve the members. Because if I know you're struggling with cleaning up noise, then I'm going to try and bring you content that helps you do just that. If I know you're struggling with something with your podcast editing business, like how to get clients, that's a big one, then I can bring you marketing experts to talk to you. So that's really one of the things that we did, was really paid attention to what our members were asking for. And then we actually started a speaker series. So in addition to office hours, whenever we can, we bring on a speaker, right, who has some relevant content that's solving a problem, which has been pretty popular. Our next one is actually tomorrow, and we are doing Asana for your podcast editing business, and we have Nikita Burks-Hale, who is an awesome. Apparently, I've heard amazing things. Like nobody talks about how great project management tools are, except for when it comes to her and her Asana workflow for her podcast editing business. So that's the kind of thing that we've really done to grow it. And we do it super simple. It's a Zoom call, right? It's interactive. Members can come on, chat, ask questions, and we stream it live to the Facebook group through the Zoom integration. And it's set up so it's like super easy for us to do. Right? It's not fancy. We just make it a Facebook event, let people know it's going to happen. I have a template in Adobe Spark that I can just plug an image and, the words and time into it. I may throw it up, like post it on Instagram and say, hey, here's what we're doing. If you're not a member, come join us. And I have a link in my Instagram profile. So it's really just making sure that you're delivering people good content and creating a community and encouraging people to engage, right? Because that was one of the things that was really hard, was getting women to like ask questions, and they didn't want to look stupid, and just making like, hey, I was that person, right? I had this question. And if somebody didn't ask it, I would have never found out the answer. So like, building that sense of community and that sense of like you're helping the person after you has really, really done wonders. And I think that's why it's created such, because now I don't have to be, and I was present. Don't get me wrong. In the beginning, every day I was there and I was posting something. I was trying to like get people engaged. But as we grew, as our members gained confidence and felt like they're a community, they took care of it. Right. And I, once they started reporting posts, I was like, okay, we're okay. We're going to be okay. So.
Yeah, it's one of the best groups like I've ever been in on the internet. There's like, I'm sure there's been a few moments here and there, but I've never seen them. They get taken down super quick if there is any like shade. But like I'm even in a couple groups that are like for people moving to Costa Rica and like expats moving to Costa Rica and stuff. And like today somebody was like, hey, do I need a special plug for my blow dryer? And somebody was like, what kind of an idiot would use a blow dryer? And I'm like, Jesus Christ, people!
Seriously.
Like, just let the woman blow dry her hair. Like, like, is this really this controversial? You know what I mean? And like this whole little fight ensued, and then it sort of self-corrected. But your group is the only group that like I don't see any of that in, and it's awesome. It's just so reassuring, and nobody's made dumb to ask a question that nobody's made to feel dumb for asking a question. Nobody, everybody's super helpful. I just love it. Sometimes I go in there and, a lot of times I don't have a lot to add because I'm not an editor, which is why I try to jump in with like invoicing or like, let me help you streamline your business and stuff that was helpful to me, which, is still on my list, Carrie. Like I am like, honestly, once I get to Costa Rica, like I'm going to lay that out because like, if any of the women in that group want to start a podcast business, I will tell them every single thing that I have done and like give them the exact blueprint. Because like if there's 1,000 more women with podcast businesses, we'll have better podcasts in the world.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to take anything off of my plate if I teach, any more women.
And there's plenty to go around. Like, I feel like there's plenty of business to go around. And and that's the other thing is we try to foster a colleagues, not competitors kind of attitude between the podcast editing business, because who I'm serving in my business, there's going to be people who like me, and I am not for everybody, let me tell you.
Can't relate.
One of the things I love about running the group is that now I've got like 1,000 editors to pass jobs on to.
Yes.
And you do. You are constantly throwing gigs out there. And I love that man. Seriously, every time I see that, I'm like, fuck yeah, man. Like that's just, I think that's, you know what I mean? And I just think it's awesome. Like my old company was called One Love Massive, and it was always about the spirit of collaboration and like, there's enough room at the table for all of us, and let's work together. And I used to always say I'd rather get 10% of the profits than take 100% of the risk. But that's the music business. It's like a very specific beast, But like I just, there's so much room. There's billions of people in the world. Like there's so many. Like how many clients do you need, right? And like what does a successful podcast business make? Like 25 clients, 30 clients? 10? Like how many clients do you actually need? And then at some point there's going to be overflow. And so every time I see you posting job opportunities, it just makes me so happy. I like seriously just cheer you guys on all day from the sidelines. Like I just think it's like might be the best thing on Facebook, honestly.
Well, my business motto is no more clients, okay? I can't handle any more clients.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like you get to a point and you're like, I really can't, I don't need more, which is, I think some of the stuff we get backwards sometimes. Like you think you got to have 10,000 Instagram followers and you got to reach all these people. It's like, well, if you reached them all tomorrow and they all converted in clients, like would your business be okay? Probably not.
Right.
Like just focus on the clients you have and getting one more.
Yeah.
One more client can make a huge difference in your bottom line, especially if you're doing weekly shows, right? Like it can really add up. So I just, I love how much you share the love around in that group and help people out. I think it's, I honestly do think I was like not really kidding when I said I think it's the best thing on Facebook.
Can I join?
No, sorry, Mark.
I would, you know what? I would love for you to be an honorary member.
No, I totally understand. Like, it sounds like an awesome place, and I definitely would enjoy that community for sure. But at the same time, I understand like it needs to be a protected space where women can go and not feel that thing of being afraid to ask a question because, oh wait, there's that guy that I know. Like there's not a whole lot of guys on here, but there's that one guy, So I totally understand.
There's always that one guy where it's just totally inappropriate. But also we can like have office hours and we don't have to put on like our makeup or do our hair or wear a bra. So
That's what I'm talking about.
Like we were so set for the pandemic already. Like,
Yeah, seriously. That's awesome.
So what's next? What's next for the group?
Yeah.
well, I can't really talk about it.
Nice.
Must be awesome.
Secret. Yeah.
We had played with the idea after Podfest about having some sort of like retreat with She Podcasts. Obviously, that didn't happen because She Podcast was canceled last year.
So sad.
Yeah. So we're kind of looking for different ways that we can kind of put together some kind of, fun event. And we're actually meeting tomorrow to work on something that I can't really talk about yet. So
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, let me know if there's anything that I can do to help in your secret mission. And I am moving to Costa Rica in 17 days. So if you guys want to do a podcast editors retreat in Costa Rica, you let me know. I will find, obviously not right away, but like when we're all vaccinated and we can move
Yes.
around again.
Right.
you
yeah,
know.
Soon enough.
absolutely. Absolutely. At your house. No.
I mean, I'm just saying, we could rent like a beautiful, like 10-bedroom house in Costa Rica for way less than it would cost,
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could be super cool. That's always a good time.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Always.
2022.
So Adam, do you have any new equipment that you want to share with us today?
Well, you guys haven't made fun of my headset yet today. It's because I'm on a new headset microphone today.
It does sound better.
It does sound better. A little bit bigger, but I'm on a Sennheiser headset today. But I also have another. This is a Sennheiser HMD-300 headset. Another one of those broadcast headsets that you'd find at the front of house sort of situation. Live sound engineers behind a mixing board using it to talk to the people on stage. I love headsets for podcasting because I don't know if you guys have been noticing, but I've just been like spinning in my chair this whole time.
It's because you
And
eat sugar all day, Adam.
Nothing,
You literally
nothing
are
but sugar all
Oh my
day.
goodness. Okay.
But yeah, without this headset, you guys would have an editing nightmare on your hands.
Microphone technique, Adam. We
But
need to
I'm very
work
poor
on
at it.
Yeah.
Although I sell them and I can tell someone you must have good microphone technique to use this microphone, I know myself and I have very poor microphone technique. I was upstairs looking in our warehouse for this headset and I came upon this microphone.
What is
And
that?
this looks like an alien from outer space. This is the new Aston Element.
Yes, I've seen pictures of that.
I think this is some kind of new technology. It says on the box, cardioid studio microphone with Rideon capsule technology.
Rideon?
Idiot.
I'm gonna plug it in.
Huh.
We're gonna see what this thing sounds like.
Is it XLR or USB?
Oh, it lights up too.
So it's USB.
Oh, shit.
No,
It's
XLR.
Okay.
Phantom
And your
power.
headset is XLR as well?
This is XLR.
Is that condenser?
I'm running everything into a Rodecaster. This is not a condenser. This is dynamic also because I have the phantom power off on this.
Cool.
This, let me see real quick. So the phantom power is on. So that's how that little purple light turned on.
You still have your Rodecaster under your desk.
It is still. I should probably bring it. Yeah, that's why I'm diving under my desk right
It's
now.
almost too pretty to keep it.
Well, it does take up a lot of desk space.
It
and
does. No,
He
I
has
get
other
that
work
part.
to do besides talking to
Come
us.
He's
on.
running a store or something.
All right, let's check
Your
this thing out.
priorities are all wrong.
I know, podcasting first always. But I do rock this all day, this headset Rodecaster situation all day, and it's way better than anything else I could use. All right, I'm gonna try this thing. Let's just see what this Aston Element. I know that what they did was they did a lot of surveys of like what was everybody's favorite microphone to use, and they built like a sound based on all of those different. It's got this weird rubber thing in the back. I wonder if it has like different settings. Is that okay?
Yes.
That's like Barry White mode.
It's very
It's like-
moody sounding.
So a lot of I can't really hear it in my headphones for whatever reason.
Huh.
Sums up with these with my headset. But how's it? It's not. I don't know if it's a condenser. Is it like really? How is it off axis?
Good rejection.
How's it back here?
Not good.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Cardioid. So it's confirmed. This is cardioid microphone. It's pretty cool. It has like this super weird shock mount, which is also pretty cool because it kind of like mounts the sides of it, like built into the sides.
It definitely needs that pop filter that you pulled off.
Let's pop it on.
Yeah.
Magnetic.
Nice.
Nice.
That's handy.
Boom. A little bit
Because
better.
just the other day I was like, man, I really wish my pop filter
Was magnetic.
was magnetic.
I do hate those gooseneck pop filters though. They're
so
always moving and yeah.
Well, and then what it does is it puts people even further away from a microphone.
Yes.
Like I had to tell a client last week, I was like, for the love of Christ, throw that pop filter away.
I'd rather remove the plosives in post than have a bad.
No, because it had a foam cover on it and a pop filter. And I'm like, okay, that's...
Well, and then they sit 6 feet away.
Right.
Yeah, and then it puts the distance in between them. And then you can't see their face. It's like, hi, welcome to Guess Who It Is podcast.
I mean, it's a cool microphone.
Yeah.
Looks pretty cool.
How much is the Back to the Future microphone there? What is that?
Let's see.
Captain America logo on the front of that thing? What is that?
It's their Aston logo.
Oh,
They
looks like
make
Captain
cool
America.
pop filters, and I don't want to buy them because I don't want a logo in front of my face like that. Like
They make cool everything made in the UK.
yeah,
Man,
like
we
their
can't really
shock
hear
mount
you.
is cool.
Oh, so that's also pretty good that it doesn't pick up. You can hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be close.
That sounds
to
pretty good.
I mean, that's pretty good for.
Yes.
I like a condenser that does not pick up too much.
Right.
I think that's like a pretty unique feature. Because most of them are just way too sensitive, and that's why we spend most of our time telling people not to buy these things. So that's pretty cool. $199.
Nice.
That sounds really good, and it looks the part.
Yeah,
Better
Looks
than
cool.
a Yeti.
Yeah.
better than Yeti. Looks are important in the world of microphones. Like you want to feel cool when you're talking into something. Like that's why all these things look pretty cool. That's why you guys, hate my headset microphone. My uncle over here just tells me I look like an airline controller all day and just says, "Take off your goofy ass headset." But this is cool. This is cool.
Like Judy from Time Life. That's who I always think of.
Judy.
Remember those commercials?
Yes.
She's like, hi, it's Judy from Time Life magazine.
And she looks so cool with her headset.
With her
We're
headset.
aging ourselves now.
She was a trendsetter.
Well, there you have it.
So the only thing I don't like about that microphone is that stupid pop filter. I don't want that in my face either. And then you can't just
It's
put a foam cover over it, right?
It looks like you
Probably could.
It's not so big. You could probably just fit like,
Stretch it.
a normal handheld windscreen over it and
You just
and
put a
be
sock
solid.
over it. It'll be fine.
Yeah, just sock it.
Plastic bag.
Classic.
It's the mic.
No problem.
condom.
Yeah.
Practice safe sound.
See,
That's what we used to say that's a touring joke.
Man,
Sorry.
We're full of quotes tonight. Like Adam,
think
yours
the
is
whole new
definitely my
brand.
favorite when you're like math. Like you sounded like Spicoli. You're like math is cooler when you can hear it. Like yeah, man.
Sound bites.
I want that
I'm
T-shirt.
down with that.
Right?
Yeah.
Seriously, the coolest thing.
Spicoli's face on it.
Yeah.
We do need to start selling merch though, Molly. Let's
You
start
do.
collecting these and start selling t-shirts. That's where the money's at.
Seriously.
Of course, who's going to fulfill it? Nobody wants to do that.
Math is cooler when you can hear it, man. Like seriously. All right. So what about the headset? How much is that bad boy?
$299. But let us not forget it's headphones and a microphone at the same time.
Right.
Yes.
Double the value.
And like your other
One
ones,
product.
it has XLR and 1/4 inch separate for the.
Yeah, I can unplug it now. Yeah, it's just a standard, just XLR on one. It's one, and it's a much less cumbersome cable, I will say, than the Audio Technica.
Oh, cool.
So really, the other one's like a double wide,
Right.
like super long cable.
Yeah, there
This
you
is
go.
like this. Yeah, now I'm
That
back on the
mic
microphone.
technique that you were mentioning you're really
Awful.
bad at.
See,
Yeah.
Let me just.
Let's flip that.
This is why people he
Let's
wears
just bring us back to reality. This is why I wear a
Yeah.
headset. Yeah, it's way more lower profile on the cable side of things. It's like the other one's like super bulky. My trusty Audio Technica has gotten me through many a time, but I think I'm going to upgrade. I think I'm going to stick with this.
I approve.
Yeah.
I think the team can stop making fun of me, and I can.
We'll still
Well,
make
let's not get crazy.
All right. I tried.
You're like, this headset got me through many a World of Warcraft night. just kidding. I'm sure World of Warcraft is cool.
That's a good point, though. I had one of my friends that I do the Photo and Taken podcast with. He is a gamer, and he got on a call with me with his Razer gaming headset. He's like, "How's this sound? Does this sound good? It's supposed to sound really good." I'm like, "No, it does not. Do not
If you're
podcast."
14 and you're fragging some noobs,
Yeah.
I just let my gamer side come out there for a minute. Just saying.
If Alan's watching this, he's like, "Come on, man."
Yeah, my son rebels by not using good mic technique when he's on his games.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're like, I have a reputation to uphold.
I know, right? Like,
It's the audio engineer's payback.
That's right.
it is, right?
Well, that's some pretty cool equipment there, Adam. I think the new headset sounds better. I think that microphone sounded really good if you could just
Control it.
hang it
how to
around
use
your
it.
neck or something like a trough. That's going to be the next wave in podcasting. It'll be like a necklace, and then the microphone will just sit here. And then
Well, they used to do that on TV back in like the 60s. They had
Yeah.
like the big pencil condenser microphone on a thing around their neck.
like
before they
a
had-
harmonica if you're a one-man band, you know?
Yes.
Same technology.
Same.
Absolutely. Well, Carrie, thank you for coming on the show. It's been really nice to chat with you and for the guys to get to know you, and definitely let us know how we can be of support of Trustbusters. And I'm excited to get to hang out with all three of you at the next podcast convention that where we get to hug one another and act like humans again. So. Hopefully that'll be sooner than later, but definitely, I'll be in touch with you about my podcast business workflow thing. And I am tempted. I'm going to show up tomorrow because I am really big on Trello, and I built my entire workflow on Trello. So when you were mentioning the woman who's really big on Asana, I was like, I don't know, man, I get pretty weird about Trello. I'm just, I give her a run, but I'm a big fan. But if there's anything that any of us can do, I mean, I don't want to talk out of turn for Adam, but man, we should do some giveaways in that group, Adam. That would be super.
Yeah.
You let me know.
yeah.
I'd love to.
Oh,
I'm down.
Oh, absolutely.
do it.
Totally open to giveaways. Really, thank you guys for having me on and let me babble and hang out with you. It's been a lot of fun. I really look forward to hearing more from you guys.
Well, Carrie, thank you again. Seriously, it's been a lot of fun having you on, and we'll stay in touch, and we'll see you at the next podcast convention. And like I said, if there's anything that we can do to support Justbusters or you and your mission, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us. We're big fans. Your name has come up so many times, just like with the group, and everything that you guys are doing, because it's not even so much just about women having a safe space. It's just a safe space in general, right? And it's especially important for women to have that. But I mean, it's just such it wouldn't matter if there was men and women in that group. It's still the best group on Facebook. So kudos to you for holding it down and creating that environment. And yeah, man, I just think it's awesome. So we'll definitely, stay in touch with you. And if there's, anything we can do to support the movement, definitely let us know.
Please,
Awesome.
whatever I can do. I know I'm a dude, but I want to help.
Yeah. No, awesome. And you can find me hanging out in the Podcast Editors Club too. I bring the same magic there that I.
But then there's that one dude. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Carrie, Adam, Marcus. Always a pleasure and a joy to hang out with you guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you found this content to be slightly bearable or even awesome, please consider liking, commenting, sharing on YouTube. You can download us on iTunes, but honestly, we don't really care about that. YouTube, that's where every podcaster in the world is like, find us on iTunes.
Right.
Like, I could give a shit if you find us on iTunes or not. Go to
Going the
YouTube.
opposite.
that's where we want you. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.